Interesting. Awesome. I think we are live. Let me just do a quick sanity check. Yes, we are. Awesome. Hi, welcome. Good evening. Good morning from wherever you are signing in right now. My name is Shantanu, and welcome back again for yet another exciting live stream. Before we jump in, Alex, I think we can wait for like a minute or two to kickstart the rest of the session. But yeah, before we jump in, before we kickstart, today I'm being joined by Alex. He's our MLOps lead and as well as a DevRel at Zencoder. Basically, he does everything at Zencoder. Uh, he's here to show you more about what we have been working behind the scenes for quite some time, which is Autonomous Agent by Zencoder. So, autonomous agents is essentially designed to make your CI/CD more faster, more efficient, and smarter. So you can take care of building stuff, and the autonomous agent can take care of checking your code, automating your boring tasks, even finding bugs, and the best part is even filing a PR on your behalf. So every these piece of things can be easily automated. So this is not a launch yet. We are still yet to launch, but this is like more of a sneak peek of how the whole platform looks like. So here today, we are essentially going to cover and talk more about how to turn a Jira feature right into PR just with one click, a quick look into Zen CLI powered workflows, and then how teams can essentially ship faster, cleaner, and smarter with autonomous agents. So yes, with that, I'll hand it over the stage to Alex. Alex, the stage is all yours. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everyone. And my cat is also here trying to help me. And well, say hi. All right. So let me share a few slides first. Let me share the whole screen. And right. So just a few slides so that we are all on the same page before we go into the actual meat of the today's webinar. So just so that everyone understands what we understand by autonomous agents and what to expect from them. So whenever I talk about autonomous agents on the conference talks, I like to use the analogy of levels of autonomy of self-driving cars. So in case you're not familiar, there are basically 5 levels of autonomy. Well, 6 if you don't count, if you also include no automation at all. And basically, there are sort of 5 levels of autonomy, ranging from something simple all the way to fully autonomous self-driving cars, which can ride around in any conditions without any human intervention. And as you might have noticed, this image was generated by ChatGPT, so it still didn't learn how to center the text, center the diffs, which I guess makes it a backend developer. Right, now if we apply this analogy to the coding assistants, currently we are sort of in level 3, which is conditional automation, right? So, or we can also call it junior software agent. So at this stage, they already can help us quite a lot, quite tremendously, right? So they can help fix bugs, they can implement some features, they can do this by integrating to different systems like Jira, for example, or GitHub and so on. So basically, they can pull the ticket from Jira, fix a bug, right? Implement the test for you and all that. But all of this happens inside the IDE, right? So you basically tell the agent, okay, go to this Jira ticket, pull the context, pull the description, solve it, and then you essentially working with it together to fix the bug, fix the issue, implement the feature, and so on. And they are pretty powerful already, right? So if you are using any tools right now, like us or maybe one of our competitors, you probably already are using some agents, right? So hopefully they are helpful for you and they provide some increase in performance. But in general, as we are currently living in level 3, it obviously makes sense to think about level 4 and level 5, right? And obviously, when we go to sort of high-end full automation, it no longer makes sense to use IDE as a sort of entry point for us, right, for developers, because essentially agent is running somewhere in the background, somewhere in the cloud, and yeah, we don't really need to wait for it to see how it's going and so on. And here I also have a few predictions over here, and I don't usually like doing predictions because otherwise you can end up with things like this, right? When you predict something and it still doesn't happen until now. Although I guess now Tesla and way more cars, taxis are now starting to at least drive around autonomously. But yeah, still not where they predicted. But anyway, going back to our code automation. So level 4, which we essentially will be sneak peeking today, is you already start to get those agents, various agents, right, running autonomously somewhere in the cloud. They can be part of your CI/CD. They can as well implement again features for you, right? So pretty much like level 3, but running autonomously with some human intervention. So if we again go back to our analogy of self-driving cars, level 4 implies that cars can drive around in most conditions autonomously, but they still would require human intervention in some points, right? So for example, when the car gets pulled over by the police, the human operator would step in and interact with the police officer. So the same goes with level 4. The agents are running somewhere in the cloud, for example, right? But then you as developer might review the code, might comment on the code during the pull request review, or somehow direct or nudge the agent towards more appropriate direction, or towards more appropriate feature implementation. And then level 5 is already going to full automation, which we are not there yet. But hopefully, hopefully next year or maybe in the year after, we will get there, and then the agents would also be able to, for example, interact with the users, get their feedback, incorporate this, and so on. But today we are focused on level 4, as I mentioned. So for that, let me stop the slides. And today our two main tools would be Jira, where of course we run our product management, right? And the GitHub, where all the code is stored, where our repository is stored, and where agent essentially will be working. So over here, I have Jira. I have my Jira, I have my board, and as you can see, my colleague Vibor has already started working on some tickets, but I haven't. So luckily for me, what I have is I have an rule automation, which basically implies that whenever I update the label, in my case, Zen Agents, right, then this would trigger the request to our backend with the following data. So basically, it's essentially a prompt to our custom agent, right? So please fix a Jira ticket, Jira issue. We also include the URL, the summary. Basically, you can essentially incorporate any data, any context from Jira that you want. So it could be also maybe comments, labels, whatever Jira also exposes through these string interpolation methods. Basically, whenever now I put a label Zen Agents to the ticket, this gets sent to our backend, and this will then trigger the autonomous agent to, in this case, fix the issue. So let's see how that will work from a sort of user perspective. For me, as a user of the autonomous agents, all I need to do after I set this up, after I set up this automation, I just go to the ticket, right, and I add the label Zen Agents. And that's pretty much it. That's the only thing which I need to do essentially from my point of view. So you can imagine, for example, your QA engineer submitting a bug and then just assigning a label, and the agent does the rest, fixes the bug for you, for the QA developer, for the team, basically. Now, in the background, what this did is it essentially started the agent running in background. So let's see. Yeah, so we have here in GitHub our repository. In this case, it is a repository called Headset. And as you can see, our agent has already started working over here. So it will take a couple minutes for it to work. So you can see it starts analyzing the files. It's checking some of the Python code, checking some Go code, and I think it should start soon implementing things. All right, so it will take a couple minutes. Now, in the meantime, I will show a few actions which I have configured here for the repository, right? So this one, which you already seen here, is essentially Zencoder agent, which just runs the action with the input prompt, agent ID, and a few things to authenticate. Right, so this essentially works great with the sort of general coding tasks, like for example, again, solving Jira ticket, solving bug fixes, and so on. Now, one thing you might have noticed here is we also optionally provide agent ID. So what this refers to is the different agents which you can create on the Zencoder platform. So I would assume that you are familiar with Zencoder already, right? So you know that we have what we call custom agents, which basically allows you to create your own agents and share it with the organization. So you can actually see all your agents here, these host.zencoder.ai/agents. And as you can see in my case, inside Zencoder, we have quite a lot of shared agents. So whenever I create this kind of automation to trigger Zencoder agent in GitHub, for example, I can select any agent which has been created, right? So it could be code reviewer. We will see code reviewer in a second. It could be any specialized, essentially, agent which you have created or your colleagues have created and shared with you, with your organization. So then you can use those focused agents on specific tasks. So, for example, you could create different labels for different tasks. And then, for example, you might have a task, an agent, a label for the agent to fix bugs. You might have label for agent to fix, to build on features, and so on. So essentially, then each of those labels can be tied to a specific custom agent which you previously created or your colleague previously created. So in the meantime, as you can see, I can see that the agent stopped working, stopped working, finished working, and with this actually kicked in our second action, which I have configured, which is encoder review. In this case, essentially, this will ask the encoder to review the code. So as you can see here, here it is pretty simple prompt, right? So please review the pull request, add comments, there is a series of reviews. If everything's fine, send looks good to me, right? So essentially this kicks in every time the pull request is opened. And well, in our case, the pull request was created by Zencoder, so it might not make sense to then ask Zencoder to review it, right? But still, let's say your colleague opened the pull request. Obviously, it would be a tremendous help if somebody or something would review the pull request first before you even get to work on it. So then you can just check all the comments, all the different comments which are already detected by the AI. Let's see. So as I mentioned, this should have triggered the review. For some reason, I didn't in this case. Okay. So let's see. Oh, it did. Okay. So it actually did. We have a few comments over here. Right. So this is the initial pull request, which was created by the agent triggered when I labeled the Jira ticket. Then the second agent kicked in, and it left, I think, one comment. Right. So overall implementation looks good. It found one issue, and it suggested some changes over here. All right. Yeah. So something to consider. All right. So in this case, it's only one comment, but of course you can imagine in your pull request it could be, I don't know, 10 comments, right? It could be multiple comments which might be pretty sophisticated, which might involve a lot of work, right? So in that case, what we could do is I have this third action, right? Address comment. And in this case, it essentially uses the custom agent, which I have here on the page 2. Let me see. Yeah, this one, PR comment fixer, which essentially instructs the agent to, well, pull the comments, pull the pull request comments, fix them, and commit the new changes, right? So in this case, again, I'm using the specialized focused agent, but the rest is pretty much the same. I just ask it to review the comments on the pull request with the pull request number. And in this case, this agent is triggered whenever the pull request review is submitted. And this review is requesting changes. So this won't fire up automatically in my case. Of course, in your case, you might want to set this up such that whenever the comment is appearing, this gets triggered so that every new comment gets answered automatically and fixed, of course. But in my case, this will only fire up when the changes are requested by the pull request reviewer. So let's see. So let me do this. Let me ask for changes. Let me actually review the changes, right? So, and as you can see, there are changes across 5 files made by our agent. So let me request changes, submit review. See, oh yeah, I think I need to add, I can't just leave an empty comment. All right, so request changes. And this now should trigger the third action, right? The comment addressing action, which should basically address this comment for us. Let's see, I think, yeah. So this is our new action, the third action, which is addressing the review comments. Now it will take some time to start the job because we will need to wait for the runners. But generally, it will essentially work in the same fashion. Zencoder will come in, pull the comments, check them, check out repository, and then essentially fix those comments, address them, and prepare a new commit to this branch, to this pull request. So then, again, you might want to, for example, run another second of automated review. You can review them yourself, and so on. So essentially, this already, as you've seen, I never opened an ID while I was doing this, while I was implementing this feature, while I was working on that ticket. I never actually opened the ID, and this is sort of the way autonomous agent might look going forward, right? So you no longer working inside the ID. You are either working from the browser when you are reviewing the pull requests, right? Or maybe not even the browser. Maybe there will be some mobile app or something where you can just I guess for the Jira you have a mobile app where you can just assign labels and be done with the task. And in the meantime, let's see if our comments get addressed. Yeah, so see, I think it did update, it did apply this suggested thing, and it should have committed. Yeah, so it addressed the comment. Thank you for catching issue, and it should have, I think, pushed it somewhere. Yeah. All right. So essentially, in overall, with a single click, right? Well, maybe not single, couple clicks, right? So we need to do this and then assign a label. So it's 2 clicks. With 2 clicks, we were able to trigger 2 agents. One is for implementing the feature from Jira ticket, and the second one was triggered automatically to review the code. And then, of course, you can also chain then further agents based on your requirements, based on your practices, based on your flow. If you, for example, want to then generate some tests, generate some end-to-end tests, and so on, you can also use those custom agents as part of your automated agent flow. Right, and then, of course, based on your CI, you can define your pipelines to be triggered based on the changes made by agent. And again, in my case, in this case, the pull request, but you could, for example, again, trigger this agent to generate tests, whenever the pull request is created and the tests do not exist, for example, right? So the possibilities here are pretty much endless, and you can easily automate a huge chunk your everyday life, right? With those agents. So any small bug fixes, any small feature request implementations can fly through your Jira board much faster compared to what you had previously, what you had before, and hopefully that will help you focus on more creative tasks, right? More interesting tasks, rather than doing yet another bug fix, which might take an hour, might take 2 weeks. We never know. And with that, I think that covers pretty much all of the agents I have set up here for my demo repository. And yeah, we'll be happy to answer any questions if we have any.
Oh, yes. We have a bunch of questions. I think we were already did in the comments, but I'll pull up them on the screen for more detailed overview from you. So there you go. Can you see the question?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question about memory, don't face previously, user gets some issue. So I feel like memory meaning previous issues rather than I thought initially memory was referring to like RAM or something. Right. So I guess for that you could, for example, have a different sort of supervisor agent, right? So for example, if you don't have some sort of already automated system to pull the issues somehow, like for example, what you have in Sentry, right? Where it can pull different issues together. If you don't have that, you can have a separate agent, sort of supervisor agent, which might just compare the previous tickets with a new one and see if that new ticket is already been reported. For example, the bug in this new ticket has already been reported or not. And then the agent can take appropriate action. So it could, for example, close the ticket with the reference to the old ticket, or merge them somehow, or attach them, and so on, based on your flow. So essentially, again, this sort of supervisor agent notion should potentially come in handy here. Alternatively, you can also do things. Again, I'm sort of thinking off the top of my head here, but for example, you could also have some sort of knowledge base where the AI would summarize all the changes it did before in the previous tickets. Again, it could be Jira, it could be Notion, or not Jira, Confluence, I guess, right? It could be Notion, whatever you use for your knowledge base. You can also ask AI to put the summaries for those tickets there, and then whenever the new ticket comes in, whenever you ask the agent to fix a new ticket, it can go ahead to that knowledge base, see if this has been addressed already, and potentially there would be a link to the pull request. So if that's the case, then obviously the agent doesn't need to do anything because there is already a fix.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you so much, Alex, for answering that. We have a bunch of more questions. I'll bring them on the screen.
Okay.
So there's a question from Jordan. I think it's more around how do you build custom agents in the IDE and stuff. So yeah, take it away.
All right, we'll be able to build tools. Yeah, exactly. And actually, you don't even need the ID for this. So I briefly show on this page our Zencoder.ai/agents. So there is an add button over here. So you don't even need to use ID to create the agent. You can just do this here. You can create some custom agent. You can share it with your organization. Give it an alias. I always forgot how to pronounce this word, to be honest. Some instructions, some tools, right? So you can also attach different MCPs if it's needed. I know Context 7, for example, or ClickHouse, again, whatever you use. And then use this agent, freshly created agent, as part of your action. So as I've shown here, there's comments. You just provide the agent ID for this newly created agent, and that's pretty much it. And I think the second part was, it's pretty much similar in behavior with the I didn't try them myself, to be honest. I only seen some demo videos for the cursor background agents. But I think that's pretty much in the same direction. I think a lot of companies are now moving to autonomous agent space just because we are already at that stage where you can rather safely offload a lot of easy to medium tasks to the agent, like small feature requests, some refactoring, some bug fixes, and so on.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you so much, Alex. I think there's one more question, and I think we can keep taking questions for the next 2 minutes if that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
So there's another question from Yash. I have one question. Are you storing Git code to these changes in VectorDB or any other way you're doing it?
So I believe for this specific use case which I've shown, the agent only has access to the repository which has been checked out. So actually, if we take a look at the
So
CI, we check it out. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. So I was saying if you're sharing a screen, I think we cannot see your screen.
Yeah,
In case.
sorry. I forgot that I stopped sharing. My bad.
No
Let
problem.
me put it back. Yeah, so
Yeah.
and okay, and then when I was showing the new agent creation, it also wasn't shown. Okay, so just so going back for the previous question for a second, so you can create custom agents without ID just on our webpage here /agents. Go to add, and then you can create your custom agents basically through the web browser and share it with your organization as well. Now going to the Git question. So first step of the action in my case was to check out the repository, and so then the agent can work on this specific repository, on this specific repo which was checked out to the main branch. That being said, sort of a bit of I guess spoiler alert for some of the future webinars. We recently enabled multi-repo indexing. So essentially, if you allow agent to use that, it would be able to also see the code from different agents, from different repositories in your organization. And I think we probably will have a webinar on that specific feature sometime later. So just a spoiler alert, I guess, again. But yeah, basically in this case, in my case, where I was showing, what I was showing today, the agent was working on a specific checked out repository. And I guess that makes sense here in CI. If you are running agents from your IDE, if you are starting autonomous agents from the IDE, for example, which we might add support for in the future, then it would make sense to have some sort of mechanism to instantiate the code, or the storage of the code somewhere, right? It could be Git work tree, it could be some tool like Dayton or Bunny Shell. Those things are popping up quite a lot recently. So there are a lot of different options, and one of those could be potential direction also for us in the future. But again, for now, since this is run in CI, it is essentially isolated to whatever you are checking out to the agent. And then it is essentially creating a sandbox for the agent to work on the code without being worried about agent fully removing the repository somehow.
Got it. Thank you so much, Alex, for answering that question. Cool. I mean, if you guys have more questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll pick it up from there. If not, you can find us on our Slack and Discord. Thanks, Vibor, for posting those channels. So there you go. You have a Slack channel. It's in the chat. You can join the Slack channel as well. And if you're friendly with Discord, feel free to join and ask questions. Cool. Any final closing note, Alex, before we close for today?
Not really. I mean, hopefully this webinar didn't make you fear for your job, right? Because obviously there are a lot of fears about AI replacing developers, and with this flow, where you just essentially assign a label to the jury ticket, and you are done with it, and drinking coffee in the meantime. Obviously, it might make you feel unease about this, but yeah, we still think that software development jobs are not going anywhere, and especially with the boom of AI, autonomous AI, which can create much more code. Essentially, we create much more code, so hence we would need much more also developers to work with that code. Albeit, of course, the way we work will change, right? Again, so I didn't open the IDE once throughout this webinar, so the flow will change definitely, but still we will remain at our work. Although, yeah, I have a funny picture about this actually, which I didn't include. I was thinking about including this, but it said not to. So let me quickly find it. And I think this would be a good ending of this webinar. Let me share this screen.
Sure.
Yeah. So
And
yeah, I think people heard similar notion that AI won't take the job, but developer with AI will. So that's a sort of exaggeration of this phrase, but yeah, it kind of also bears some truth inside, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Exactly. I mean, on that note, I think we have last question before we close
Okay.
on for the day. It's from Subrat. So Subrat is asking, can we connect Olama locally installed LLM? Like bring your own key types.
Yes, so currently we don't support locally run LLMs. We might support this in the future. Currently, our focus is on sort of state-of-the-art models, right? And usually those are some third-party providers like Anthropic, OpenAI, Gemini. For those, you can bring your own key if you want. Although, of course, then you would need to pay for the tokens, and agents are quite token hungry. So be careful with that.
Perfect. Awesome. I think that's it for the day. If you still have any more questions, feel free to drop them in our community channels. We'll be more than happy to pick them up. Once again, thank you so much for joining in, and thanks a lot, Alex, for being a part today. I think this was super amazing, and I personally can't wait for the autonomous agents to be out. And if you want to try this out, we have a wait list that Vibor has shared. I'll just quickly share this on the screen. So this is a link. You can sign up here, and once we are out or once we start rolling out the beta access, we'll reach out to you for sure. So yeah, once again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining in, and then we see you again next week. Till then,
Thank
take
you.
care. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye.